Welcome to the age of SaaS, where churn, lifetime value, and cost to acquire are top of mind, and acronyms like MRR, ARR, and ACV are being tossed around like a beach ball at a concert. So how do SaaS leaders motivate, measure, and maintain momentum? We're picking them up on their way to SaaS North and asking them the questions you want to know in Leaders in Lyfts Getting Lattes.
Welcome to the next in our series of interviews of Leaders in Lyfts Getting Lattes. And we're here with Felicia, who is the CRO of Unbounce. Felicia, pleased to have you with us here today.
Thank you for having me. We're really grateful to be part of hanging out in Ottawa with you.
Hanging out in the back of a
That's
Lyft.
right.
Yeah, and we also are joined by our awesome Lyft driver, Kareem.
Thank you. Hi.
Woohoo, Kareem.
Yeah, and co-pilot, Alan Ville on camera. There you go. And so I understand this is your first trip to Ottawa.
It is.
It is. And so we're going to actually take you on a drive over to see Justin Trudeau's abode.
Oh,
Yes, exactly. So we'll have a little tour. We're going to go on Sussex Drive and
amazing.
see if he's home, drop in. I'm shocked he wasn't actually at the event this year. It's a big event in Ottawa, right?
I spoke this morning. I thought maybe he would.
He should have been
be
there.
hanging out.
He
with
should have
Vivian,
been there.
Right?
Absolutely.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
We had something more important to do.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know what could be more important. I was there. It was great. It was great.
Climate change, you know.
Yeah. Climate change. Yeah, something else.
Something else.
It's a lovely day here, though, today. And so time zones. I mean, you're here from Vancouver, and so you had to get up really probably extra early today. How do you start your day? Like coffee, Red Bull, yoga? What do you like to do?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I have a pretty good routine in the mornings. I love to start my day with about a 10 or 15 minute little meditation. And then I typically go for a run with my dog.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
That's usually what I do every morning. Sometimes in the dark during certain times of the year, and I love it. It's just a great way to start the day, and it's beautiful and quiet. So I didn't go for a run this morning, and I didn't bring my dog to Ottawa, but it's a great part of my day. Great
that's
habit
fantastic.
to be in.
What kind of dog do you have?
He is a pitbull.
Oh, wow.
He's a big fan of the pitbull breed.
Okay.
Super cuddly, and his name's Ralph. And he's adorable. He's
Do they run very fast?
he's not super fast runner, but he has good endurance.
Okay.
Yeah, super strong.
Oh, that's good. Good dog to have with you on a run if you run into trouble too, probably.
That's true.
Yeah, okay, good.
Bears and coyotes. He's good with that.
Excellent. And so Unbounce, you've been there a little over a year.
Almost
Almost
2
year and a
years
half?
this summer. So,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Time
And can you tell
flies.
us a little bit about what attracted you to Unbounce in the first place?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, Unbounce is very well known in the Vancouver tech space, and when they started 10 years ago, one of the things you always heard about Unbounce was their people first philosophy, and I think it's sort of ingrained in the founders' DNA. They believe that if you invest in your people and take care of your people will know how to take care of your customers. And I've heard about them for years, and I've recommended many people to come work at Unbounce, and just didn't really quite find a spot for myself until recently. And so I really joined for their people first philosophy and just really the way they run their business.
That's fantastic. And this morning you were talking about culture and talking about metrics in your session, employee feedback and engagement, which really brought it to life. Is there anything about the culture and that employee first kind of thinking that surprised you? You knew about it, but did anything feel different once you got in?
Yeah, I would say that it is very surprising, because I believe that a lot of companies really do feel that they are people first, but when you walk through the doors at Unbounce, you can really feel it with people. And a good example of that is, you know, your first couple weeks at Unbounce, really you are completely committed to just getting to know people. So the embodiment of just sitting down, getting to know you, like we're talking about one another. It doesn't always have to be about business. And I think when you build those relationships at the core, you really start to trust people and you feel safe. And that is sort of the embodiment of what Unbounce is about. And our values don't just stay up on a wall and we kind of read them. You know, we use them every day. We bring them in to make really large decisions and kind of balance our decisions based upon some of our attributes and our values. So it's really alive is probably the best way
cool.
to explain it.
Sounds fantastic, actually. Yeah, sounds great.
Amazing.
And I will point out, so we're driving in downtown Ottawa. So on our left is the U.S. Embassy. And straight up ahead, a little bit further left, is our National Gallery of Canada. And you'll see Mama by Louise Bourgeois. That is a giant spider sculpture.
Wow.
Quite famous and a little controversial when it was purchased. So we can check out for the spider.
Right. I've heard a lot of good things about the museums. That's the one thing people really
We're
say. Make
spoiled.
sure you see the museums.
Yeah.
Take the time to go.
I think so, and this is walking distance from where we are, really, at the SaaS North event. So
Right.
beautiful spot. So we'll see the spider there. You can see Mama. Here she is.
Wow, that's incredible.
So you're getting a tour.
Fantastic.
So you're here for SaaS North, of course, as are we, and it's in its 4th year. Over 1,500 people attending. How, like in Ottawa, we're feeling it every day, how the SaaS ecosystem is exploding. What's it like in the Vancouver area?
Yeah, we're feeling that same explosion. I think one of the most interesting things that's happening is we are seeing large tech giants move into Vancouver, build offices, renovate, post offices. It's really incredible. We've got Amazon coming in, Apple coming in. So when you think about the impact to the economy, it's very exciting, right? Because the tech sector in Vancouver has been pretty small for years. I mean, for years it's been, I think, inundated with the majority of the tech businesses being quite small, and we have very few medium-sized and very, few large-sized businesses there. So it's exciting on one hand, and for a lot of the small and medium-sized businesses, it's also really scary. Especially when you think about attracting talent.
Yes,
especially when it comes to SaaS and development, engineers.
Okay.
They're making it quite a competitive marketplace in terms of what they pay for engineers.
Okay.
And so that's going to be a challenge for businesses in Vancouver. For businesses like Unbounce, I think that we really go back and rely on our culture, because I do think people are looking for a balance of both. They're not looking to go to work and have one life and go home and have another. They're looking for an integration of their life.
Fair enough.
So I think we have a really strong differentiator there. So I think we'll still do well, but it's quite exciting on one hand and a bit scary
That
on
talent
the other.
attraction is really hard. And how many employees are you about right now?
Just about 200.
Okay, so that's, you've crossed a big inflection point. And this morning you were talking about clear communication and a one-pager, and I've been sharing that actually with some other founders because that's key to keeping employees rallied.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good feedback.
And you've been in a number of different companies, and from the very early startup days all the way through to huge trading on the NASDAQ, like the full spectrum. What are you finding right now? What lessons are you drawing from the most right now in your time at Unbounce?
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind is, how tech companies do anything is how they do everything.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
really quite interesting. I mean, there's never a straight line to anything, right? And I think that one of the lessons I've learned throughout the years is to never straight line it, to always be in a mode of experimentation and iteration and pivoting. And I think that you can avoid a lot of disasters if your mindset is to be thinking about things in incremental, micro blocks, right? I also think that it keeps things innovative and fresh, especially as you're scaling company. When you scale a company, you have to kind of push in a lot of process, and sometimes this can dry out some of that creativity. So I think one of the things that has really worked well is to, again, really embody that idea of experimenting, the idea of learning, and that can show up in your development process, that can show up in your growth teams, that can show up in how you service customers. So that's a lesson that I always bring with me, knowing that change is the only constant.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. That's impressive. Okay. Excellent. So you've just mentioned this. It's great. So, when you're scaling, it's rarely a straight line to success, and you need to have this pivot mentality. It's helpful for people. I don't ask it to be cruel in any way, but every founder probably that I've talked to and C-level execs, there's something that seems like a disaster at the time that when you get through it and look back, you go, oh, well, here's what we learned from that. Can you think of an example of something like that in your past, in your career, where at the time something felt like a horrible disaster, but then you're able to pivot and, rebound stronger?
Yeah, the thing that, I guess as you're saying that, the one thing that does come to mind is when I think about disastrous situations, when back in 2000 I was working for a dot-com company, which was, now known as a startup, right?
Yes,
and a couple years in, we were just giving her, right? Everything was spending a lot of money, just going for it, and we hit a wall, and we knew we had to scale back quite aggressively. And unfortunately, a lot of times when you hit those kind of walls, your most expensive resource is your people.
Yeah.
So what seemed like a complete disaster, where we probably had to let go over 100 people in one day, was a pretty bleak, deep, dark days. You're really impacting people's lives, and people really don't understand that, and just your own psyche is quite depleted from that. So I would say I remember walking in the next day and you just think, what a disaster, right? But I think when your head comes up and you look around, you have a core group of people left, and you can start over, right? And you have a new view, a new take on life, a new view of what you can do, and so you just kind of lean into that and start over. And that is a company that still ended up surviving, and that is a company that went from those probably 100 people that day to 3,000 people.
Wow.
10 years later.
Wow.
So you never know what is going to happen, right? And I think, as they say, some of your most disastrous, biggest failures are when you find the clarity you need to actually build and grow a business.
Okay, that's a really good story, and one wrapped up with all kinds of dimensions, right? Okay, good. So let's look where we are now. We are now beside the French Embassy. Yeah, that was great. There's the French Embassy.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and there it is, the Prime Minister's house on the left-hand side there. People go trick or treating here at Halloween. Yeah, there it is. Oh, you can actually see quite a bit because the leaves are off the trees.
Oh, it's really gorgeous. Who doesn't want to
Lovely.
live there, eh?
Yeah, apparently, a lot of air drafts and old plumbing that's getting repaired.
Love it.
And
I have
then,
a deep love for the
do you love old houses?
homes and old things. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And do you have an old home yourself?
I do not.
You
not
don't?
an old
Okay.
It's difficult to find an old home in Vancouver.
Okay, fair enough. And I have never lived in Vancouver,
exactly.
So good. So we'll probably be, Kareem's taking us up here. We'll probably do a little turnaround at some point.
Incredible.
The governor.
Beautiful out here.
Yeah, we can drive past again. So this, on the right-hand side back in here, is the Governor General's complex. And so Julie Payette is in there right now, of course. And a lot of events, actually. It's open to the public. There's a skating rink. And
I feel really really happy right now. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a history lesson. I have to say, I just became a Canadian.
Oh.
Just a year ago.
Congratulations.
Yes, I know. So
wow.
I didn't, I'm not really acquainted to all these amazing things. So I really appreciate this.
Oh, there you go. Wasn't that great?
To learn through history, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very proud to be a Canadian. I was able to vote this year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And what was your other citizenship before that?
I'm a U.S. citizen.
U.S. citizen.
As well.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So I noticed too, you're passionate. I noticed from your profile, I assume you're passionate. I noticed you're very involved in women's economic empowerment initiatives. And you've done a number of different things. Can you pick something that, an example of something you're passionate about and just tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think an important one in this day and age. We all watch the news. We see what's happening with the Me Too movement, which is really great on one hand, and a little uncertain on the other hand, right? Causes a lot of vulnerability of kind of how to move around that topic. But Personally, I'm really passionate about pay parity and gender parity, i.e. diversity and inclusivity inside of organizations. With Unbounce, about 3 years ago, we signed up with the Minerva Foundation and made a pledge to work towards 50-50 gender parity in our organization, based upon how people, identify as male or female. And it was just a couple of weeks ago, and we hit that.
No kidding! That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is really fantastic.
Wow.
And
is that all throughout the different levels in the company? Is it getting, in the different functions?
We're making
it's a challenge.
We're making progress in all areas.
Okay, great.
I would say in our people leaders, we're close to 45%. On our engineering teams, about 30% women.
Yep.
Yeah, so making progress.
And
fantastic. The 2019 McKinsey Women in the Workplace report has just been released, and that's just chock full of really great examples of what's next. And I found it really interesting around this pipeline they refer to around the areas within a company that you could make the biggest impact. And they talk about first promotions as this. Did you read that?
Yes, I did, and that's like a falling off point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even within Unbounce, it's great that we've reached this milestone. There's still a lot of work to maintain that, and as you said, in other areas. But I always think there's new research that's coming out, like first promotions that could make a critical difference. And I think for me, there's a lot of talk that you get caught up into kind of the male-female part of it. But I think the more important conversation around this is the economic impact.
Yes.
Gender parity is an extremely lucrative opportunity economically. There's anywhere between, based upon how you look at it, $12 to $30 trillion in economic opportunity throughout the world by driving, moving towards gender parity. And I think that's absolutely huge. Yeah. Right.
Makes sense for business, the diversity of thought, and perspective as well.
Right. And for anything else, I think that the diversity part in terms of bringing different people to a table, male, female, however you identify, as well as different people from different backgrounds and different cultures. The reality is, in a tech company, you need that type of thinking, you need that type of creativity, you need that type of understanding to drive true innovation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the parity part allows people to come to a table and feel like they belong. And that is sort of the first barrier in any meeting or at any table.
Yes.
And again, it's more of a barrier. Once you're over that barrier, then you're really listening to the ideas and the creation and the innovation. So it's a long way of kind of getting to the biggest benefit, which is creativity and innovation.
That's fantastic, and really concrete initiatives and progress and awareness is the first step of measuring that.
That's right.
Is something that I've heard from companies here and there's a lot of action and initiatives being taken as well in Ottawa around empowering women, and even from female engineering leads is take women to your recruiting events. You got to see her to be her. And so,
That's right.
Like you said, if you're there and you're visible at the table, then people are more likely to get engaged and follow. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Very cool.
Really great.
Is there anything you'd like to share about Unbounce or highlight while you're here that I just didn't ask you about?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll share one of our largest milestones in our history. For the past 3 years, we have been developing some AI technology, and it's been a tough road, right? We thought that we would be able to develop this and get it out the door, just like any other feature in the past, and it's been tough. But we've recently just launched some AI technology that enables our digital marketers to drive more conversions. So through our testing, we've seen that our smart traffic functionality drives up to an additional 20% conversions over your standard AP test.
Wow.
So what does this all mean? For us, our core purpose at Unbounce, where we offer a platform where digital marketers can come in and build landing pages. For us, what this really means is that we know that one of the biggest challenges for small and medium-sized businesses is that they need to be able to compete effectively against enterprise companies. They need to be able to compete effectively against whoever else is in their marketplace. And having access to AI technology and machine learning is something that has been pretty prohibitive to small and medium-sized businesses. They say only 11% are using it, and most the number one reason cited is that they don't have the budget to purchase these types of things.
Okay.
So at Unbounce, we really pride ourselves on democratizing that opportunity, and so we have our AI technology out. It's accessible to our customers. You can join today and have access to this great functionality. And it's really helping to drive the ROI that marketers are being asked to produce these days, right? So we're super excited. It's a huge milestone for us. We're just in celebration mode. I mean, we still have a long road to help people understand what that looks like, and many iterations of development around that. But it's great.
Huge congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Huge.
Thank you.
That's a tough one because it's brand new, right? It's brand new, so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the Prime Minister, I'm sure we're hearing him clapping because we're right back in front of his house. He is thrilled to celebrate the Unbounce milestone.
Still had some
AI.
Halloween candy.
We'll hold the microphone over here if you'd like to say a word or two.
AI. I'm sure he's a supporter of AI and machine learning.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure. He may need a landing page, maybe to sign up for Halloween trick-or-treaters. I don't know. Oh, that's great. Good.